All right, today we're going to pick up with the second half of solving multi-step equations. We're going to start by looking at one of the problems you're going to get tonight, which is looking at our properties, reviewing our properties that are allowing us to solve these equations, and the reasons that we are able to solve the equations and so forth. So if you look at this problem, it's given us the equation 8 times the quantity of w plus 2 equals negative 32. And they're asking us to justify each step in the process that they use. And our choices for justifications are going to be listed over here. You're actually going to get a drop down menu for each one in tonight's homework. But essentially, what we want to learn to do is look at the first step and then say, okay, first to second, what's different? All right. So if I look at the given equation and I look at line 2, what's different is they've taken that 8 and they've distributed it through the parentheses to get 8w plus 16. And by the way, this is the kind of equation we're going to do today. All right. So the first thing I would say, the justification for this step is we use the distributive property. Okay. From the second line to the third line, what's different? Well, we're going to subtract 16 from both sides. All right. And that's the subtraction property of equality. It says if we subtract the same value from each side of an equal statement, it remains equal. Okay, the fourth step here, what we're really doing is we're just simplifying. We're taking 16 minus 16, we're making it 0. We're adding 0 to 8w to get 8w. Over here, we're making it negative 32 plus negative 16, which gives us negative 48. So we've just simplified this statement to here. Okay, step 4 to step 5, what's the difference? Well, we've divided each side by 8. We want to make the coefficient of w become a 1. To do that, we got to divide each side by 8. As a result of this division, 8 divided by 8 is 1. That's going to give us W. Negative 48 divided by 8 is negative 6. So what we did from step 5 to step 6 is we simplified. Okay? So that's our solving process. Now, you don't have to list these when you're doing the problems, but you need to understand that that's how it happened. Let's take a look at another one. Very, very similar here, except they solve it in a different fashion, and that's good for us to look at. Okay, so they're giving us 8 times the quantity of w plus 3 equals negative 56, and they're asking us to solve it. Now, in the last one, if you remember, in their first step, they distributed the 8 through the parentheses. Well, in this one, they're doing a little different. Okay, so it's 8 times the quantity of w minus 3. What they're going to do in their first step here is divide each side by 8. Since it was 8 times the quantity, I can cancel these 8s out. And then on the right side, I'm going to have negative 56 divided by 8. So this first step is the division property of equality. Now, as I cancel, the 8's cancel, which leaves you with the w minus 3 that was in the parentheses. Negative 56 divided by 8 is negative 7. So what I did from step 2 to 3 is I simplified. Mathematically, I just simplified it down. In the next step, we're going to work to isolate the w. To do that, I'm going to add 3 to each side of the equation. That's the addition property of equality. And then finally, I took my negative 3 plus 3, that's a 0. I took my negative 7 plus 3, that's negative 4, and that's a simplification. Okay, so really, if you look at it, it was the same kind of steps. This is just, they did it in a little bit different order. And I just wanted to show you this first step because I think that's a strategy we can use. And it's just kind of using math sense to know when it's a good first step and when it maybe is better off to distribute and work from there. Okay, here's some other things we're going to work on. So today, we're going to add in a couple little extra steps to our two-step equations or multi-step equations. Okay, in this case, in this first one, I can distribute the 2 through the parenthesis first, or I could divide each side by 2 to cancel out that product of 2 right there. I decided to distribute, so that becomes 4x minus 14 equals 18. And by doing that, now I can see on the left side of my equation, I have two terms, a 4x and a negative 14. On the right side of my equation, I got 18. I can't simplify anything. There's no like terms to combine. Okay, so now I'm going to go to work on solving it. I want to isolate the 4x. I want to get it over here by itself. That's minus 14. So to eliminate minus 14, I'm going to add 14. That's really a negative 14 plus positive 14. That's going to be a 0. That's what we wanted. 0 plus 4x is 4x. That's going to isolate it. On the right side, 18 plus 14, that's 32. Okay, so this would be the addition property of equality. Now I have 4 times x equals 32. I want this 4 to become a 1. So the way we're going to do that is divide each side by 4. Okay, 4. This 4 times x divided by 4, I can cancel the 4's out. That's going to give me x by itself, and that's going to give me 8. So the solution is x equals 8. The value of x, if I was to put 8 in the place of x here, it would make these two sides equal. Okay, going over to my next example, -6 equals 5x minus 27 divided by -3. I want you to remember that when they write it as a fraction like this, which we know means division, that even though there's not parentheses around the 5x minus 27, this is really grouped. You have this grouped. You just can't take part of this away. So you have to work to isolate this first, and then we can start working with the 5x minus 27. But it's grouped right now. So what we're going to do in our first step is I'm going to multiply each side by -3. Okay, now on the right side, I put it as -3 over 1 because I want to show you how the -3 cancels out this -3. On the left side, I just wrote it as -3 times -6 because that's just two whole numbers. Okay, so what's going to happen on the left side, or excuse me, on the right side, is my -3 is going to cancel. It's going to give me 1 over 1. So I'm going to get just 5x minus 27. The numerator is all that's left there. And then on the right side, -6 times -3 is 18. Okay, now we want to isolate our variable term. The 5x is the variable term. So I'm going to need to add 27 to both sides. Okay, -27 plus 27, that's 0. 18 plus 27 is 45. So I got, 45 equals 5x. I could switch these two if I want to solve left to right like I've done in the past, but you don't have to. All right, now my coefficient on the x is 5. I want that to become a 1. I'm going to divide each side by 5 because 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 1 times x is x. And I'm going to get 9 equals x, or x equals 9. Okay? So just a little variation there. You got to understand how to handle this when it's a fraction, kind of written as a fraction, and the variable is in that numerator. I have to work to isolate that. Okay. So now these are again two-step equations, but here's where we have to do a little bit more simplifying before we're ready to solve. So in this equation, if you look at the left side, it's 3x plus 9 minus 8x. I have three terms on the left side: 3x, the 9, and the -8x. The right side is just -31, so we're good there. But on the left side, what we need to do is we need to combine like terms before we start solving. We want to simplify it. So on the left side of the equation, I got -8x, +3x. Those are like terms, okay? I can put those two together. They're on the same side of the equal sign. Let's just combine them. So that's going to give me -5x plus 9 equals -31. Now that I've combined my like terms, now I'm ready to solve. Okay, so I want to isolate -5x because that's my variable term. I'm going to subtract a 9. -5x equals -40. Remember, -31 minus 9 is really -31 plus -9. That's -40. Okay, now I want to make the coefficient on x become 1, so I'm going to divide each side by -5, and x equals 8. Okay, same kind of situation over here. If I look at the left side, it's just 23. If I look at the right side, it's -8x minus 7 plus 2x. So on the right side, I have three terms: -8x, -7, +2x. So I have like terms with these x's. Okay, so my -8x and my 2x, I can put those together on the right side of the equation. So -8 plus 2, -6x minus 7, and over here it's 23. Now that I've combined like terms and simplified it, I want to isolate my variable term, which is the -6x. So I got to make this 0. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. -7 plus 7 is 0. And over here, we're going to get 30 equals -6x. Now the coefficient on x, I want to make that become a 1. So to do that, I'm going to divide each side by 6. -6, excuse me. -6 divided by -6 is +1. And I got x equals -5. But you guys have to show this work. Okay, you got to show work. Okay, a little bit more to it here. The left side is pretty simple. It's just -13. On the right side, I got a few things to do. First of all, I have a distributive property situation here, and then I have another term tacked on the end of it. So the first thing we're going to have to do is distribute the 3 through, and simplify this distributed property process. So that's just going to be 3 times V and 3 times 5. So I'm going to have the left side still negative 13. I'm going to have 3V plus 15 minus 7V. I have 3 terms on the right, the 3V, the 15, the negative 7. I want to combine like terms, which are these two, the 3V and the negative 7V. So that's going to give me negative 4V. So negative 13 equals negative 4V plus 15. Those are my like terms I put together. Now solve it. Okay, I've got it simplified. I'm ready to go. I'm going to isolate my negative 4V. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. Okay, negative 13 minus 15 is negative 13 plus negative 15, negative 28. Obviously over here, 15 minus 15 is 0. That's how I got this by itself. And now I want to make the coefficient become positive 1. So I'm going to divide each side by negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 4 is 1. And negative 28 divided by negative 4 is 7. So V equals 7. So just a little bit more to this one. Distribute, combine like terms, and then solve it as we have been. All right, guys, that's kind of what we've added here to solving multi-step equations. Make sure you guys are watching the video, watch it all the way through. I guess if you didn't, you wouldn't hear me say that. But also showing your work. You got to show detailed work step by step. Each line of work's got to be equal to the one above it. All right, I'll let you get at it.